Hello. Good afternoon. Now I know I usually come on a little earlier on Saturday. Actually, I was down here for a short time, but what was I doing? I got hungry. Went upstairs. It's like it was one of those days where you're just kind of like, you know what sounds good right now? Food. So, and thus, I went upstairs and made myself some protein waffles, Kodiak protein waffles, and eggs and sausage, and my wife and I just sat down and watched some of our TV shows, and it's been a lazy day. I mean, not that gaming isn't really a lazy day. I guess it's all just a different form of my usual Saturday lazy dayness. So I went ahead and just kind of went slower, but I decided to get my butt down here and get a little gaming in at least before I go gaming tonight, board gaming. So I thought I'd give the let's see if I'm on the right channel. Am I on the right channel? I'm on the right channel. Okay, good. It's probably when you have multiple channels, you got to make sure you switch channels. All right, what do we got? Yeah. So even last night when I was gaming, I was reviewing a football game. It was another GM game. Wait, what the heck, man? I don't quite understand how this works. It's like go to a web page, see, like, and then it says asking to redirect, and I'm like, okay, I'm connected, and then it loaded this, and then it gets errors. It's like, I don't know. This is a weird. It's weird how they connect the client to the web pages that connects you back to the client. It's kind of an interesting approach. I have to wonder drinking up Monsters. Probably shouldn't. I usually go lighter on my caffeine on Saturdays, but I don't know. My wife bought me a 12-pack of Monsters, and now I'm drinking Monsters twice a week or 3 times a week. And I didn't bring a spoon, so I'm going to be mixing that up. I usually put it in this, but as you can see, it's full of water right now. You can't see, but I mean, it's full of water, I'm telling you. So I'm showing you the cup. Yep. Boy, now I gotta wait for an update. Apparently League of Legends has an update too. You know, I've never in the history of me played League of Legends. Of all the games out there that there are to be played, that is one I have never ever played. I've seen it. My son's played a ton. I've got friends that have played it a ton. But I just never really got going in that one, man. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. It's just the way it is. I think I've never been a PvP kind of guy. I mean, I play some. I mean, I like Marvel Snap. Let's just say I like being able to play against other people. I just don't like. It's like I love board gaming and I'm competitive. I tend to win more than I lose. But people online are not fun to play with in my experience. It's because I'm a bad sport. That's what it is. I don't like people who just start spamming me and giving me all kinds of grief the whole time. I'm not big on, I mean, I don't mind a little trash talking, but people just get over the top and it starts getting on my nerves, and then I start getting mad, and then I'm like, bleh. So I gotta kind of like, okay, reel it back. So I avoid playing online PvP. And it's one reason why I don't like to play PvP even on Legends of Runeterra, which, by the way, is taking forever to update. And that's because for a while there, I didn't know how to mute. And then I figured out how to mute people. So now I don't mind it as much. Because people just, it's like they're trying to get on your nerves with all of their spamming and junk. And even on Marvel Snap, people do it. But I've learned that you don't have to. I don't mind 1 or 2 emojis. Good game or whatever emoji they want to throw out, 1 or 2. But people have this tendency that when they think they're going to win, they just start spamming away. And it's so irritating. So irritating. You're like, yeah, you are a bad sport. Am I a bad sport, or are they a bad sport? I think people who don't know how to win are just as bad at sports as people who don't know how to lose. And the problem with online games is there's a huge divide, because a lot of times you're not playing on equal ground with people, right? So, in other words, they've got the better deck. They've got the not only the time of experience, but they've they put boat tons of money into their decks, and they've got all the cards, and they found and copied the exact metas, and it irritates me for a lot of reasons. This is why I don't play these games. So, it's nothing to do with, everybody's got their own thing, and that's actually a very common way to do it. It bothers the heck out of me, because I feel like, okay, we get it. There's a winning combo. There is a 1 or 5 or 6 ways to do it, but I don't want to play those ways. I want to come up. Why do I have to play the same way everyone else does? I like games where everything is equal, or with very minute changes. It's kind of like stock car racing. Stock cars are built under very exacting standards, and there's very little play for how you can build those cars. So really, it comes down to the minutia things, the little things, the strategy of the driver, the skill of the driver, the tiny little optimizations you can make within the bounds of the rules, and then you're not guaranteed to win. You're not going to win every time. You may not even win 8 out of 10 times. I mean, you can get on a winning streak if you're really good. The best racers might win 10 races in a year, or maybe more. I don't know how often they win, but it's kind of like, or even gambling, right? So the best gamblers in the world, they only win a few times a year. So they learn to be good sports, if for no other reason that they know they're going to lose too. They can't just dominate and destroy and then just be a jerk about it all the time because they know they're so much better than everybody. Because people are giving their decks too much credit. or they give themselves too much credit. And if they were so good, they would be able to win with the deck you're playing. But they don't play with the deck you're playing. They play with these, meta perfect decks, and they're all like, "Oh, I'm so good. I'm the best. Aha, look, I'm going to spam you. You're losers." It's like, dude. So that's why I like games that try to equalize, that try to make the ground, try to make the game equal. And most decks don't do that. Most deck games, they just, that's rarity is all you got, and they might limit some rarities by a certain number of cards. They may just limit cards by a certain number of cards, but that doesn't really prevent some really powerful cards or cards that are known to be powerful from dominating the scene, right? And it's like Marvel Snap; they're constantly rebalancing cards because some of them are just too strong. In our 12-card deck, card limits are 1, right? You only can have 1, but it's only 12 cards. You're going to see all but 2 or 3 of your cards, so the card limits don't carry a lot of weight. And holy moly, how long of an update is this? great gurgly murgly. What'd they do? I could be in the middle of a game. I'm supposed to leave in 2 hours. All right, well, while that works, let's go look at something. So I've been doing, like I said, a lot of research on other football games that are out there. That is actually doing something, right? I'm not like standing here thinking it's got a thing in the background. Right. Guy's got quite the mustache. Where was I? Football sim. Okay. So this was my market research page. I got a bunch of football games that exist, and none of them have impressed me. And here's the reason why. Some of them are like, okay, so this isn't football. Oh no, this is front office football. Yeah, it is. This front office football. Right. Here's the problem with this one. I have the same problem with all these GM games, and all of them, they put the GMing ahead of the game. There's not a lot of game there. It's stat management. It's tweaking it. Yeah, I guess it's the minutia. It's kind of like if only you had the minutia. it's like your only job was to find a good driver for your stock car or tweak the engine, but you didn't really care about the race. That's what it reminds me of. You know, it's like you tweak the engine, you find the perfect crew, you go out and hire people, and then you say, hey, just let me know how the race went. It's like, I don't care about the race. I'm having all my fun just getting the crew and getting everything ready together, and I'll work on getting the fans in the stands. But I don't want to manage. I don't want to see the game. I don't want to see the race. How do you do, man? Did you come in first, second? How'd it go? It's like, it's just like, that feels wrong when the game becomes just a stopper to the next action you take. How much money did he win for me so that I can go build more fan base and do the more? That's what these GM games are. It's like, I don't care about the game. In fact, when they do show the game, it's boring because it's just this grid. And it's probably because these are cheaper to make. I mean, honestly, throwing a bunch of numbers at a game, I won't say is easy. It's mathematical, but programmatically it's not that complex, right? You write the programs, you add this, and you tweak percentages, and you tweak the math, and you try to balance out. And then in the end, as long as the scores come out close and the numbers are in the general range, it really doesn't matter if they're doing anything at all. You could randomize that stuff. And so it's because you're not watching the game. You don't care. There's no need for realism there. I was watching this morning. I was watching a Madden game because I wanted to see how Madden does like weather effects. I said I want to watch a snow game. What's a snow game look like? And all right, all of you people out there who complain that Madden's got this thing that doesn't look right or that thing that doesn't look right, you guys got to lower your bar, man. You got to lower your bar. Madden is a freaking impressive achievement of programming. I'm telling you, man. Now, I get it. There's some flaws in Madden, and I'm not talking about graphically. I mean, their graphics are about as... Until you've ever actually looked at a game and tried to model a single guy walking around and looking good doing it and functioning with other stuff, it's not an easy thing. And when you see this kind of thing done well, it's years of programming skill goes into just getting that stuff kind of going. And yeah, they're getting better at modeling and getting assets out there that make some of that easier. But team games, and then a lot of times, you get hit, you do damage or whatever in a game, and the guy just kind of falls down, or sometimes it doesn't do anything at all. It's just, some blood splats, and there's some actions that go on. Your character might spin around cool, but it doesn't always. I mean, there's so little of the realistic physics in a lot of the games you play, adventure games. Madden, I'm telling you, man, is an impressive feat. I mean, they have a serious crew of developers. I get it, but you're paying what? How much does Madden cost each year? Is it even $60 a year anymore? I think it used to be. I mean, if you wait 1 year, you can get last year's version for $40 because the new one's out, right? So just stay behind by a year, and it's cheap. But why do you upgrade every year? I don't know. And that's a problem. Why do they even bother every year? They're not doing enough each year to justify it, but people keep buying it. And if you look at like the top games sold, Madden's always one of them. So, people love Madden football. So I get it. But hey, if you're complaining about its visuals, gotta lower your bar, man. It's probably one of the more impressive games in existence for all that it does right now, for its visual accuracy. And there's so little, you don't appreciate all the little minutia that's in there. I mean, if you knew the complexity of doing some of the programming items on there, maybe you would have more of an appreciation. I'm just talking about you haters out there of Madden's visuals. I get it, their behind the scenes game has some work, and they're missing a lot of bits and parts that's what I want to get in the game. Okay, so here's the thing. So there's two sides to a good sports game, or in my opinion, because everybody's opinion is different. There's the management, there's a management of a game. There's the minutia of the game, the players, all that kind of stuff. And there's the play aspect. There's I want to get in there and play. I want to do the stuff. I want to move the guys around. And then there's the actual experience of the game, right? There's the atmosphere, the interaction of you, even if it's just as a fan or a viewer, right? Here's the thing with Madden. I've seen nobody yet who's mastered the art of play. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Nobody, even Madden has some good looking stuff, and it looks nice, and things visually work. But the art of play has not been figured out by any game company yet. I'm just telling you. There's even at the lowest levels of the way these games work. I say lowest levels. Let's take Retro Bowl on the mobile phone. Retro Bowl has a little bit of play and a little bit of management. It's kind of like a taste of everything, right? There's no defense, and I've seen this on a few different sim games. They don't show you the defense at all. They just show you offense, and then the defense, and then the offense, and then the defense does its thing in a simulated mode, and then your guys do whatever they do in the play mode, and then they just keep coming back to you as offense because you really just get the ball back. What they do, the score. All right, you get the ball. So Retro Bowl lets you control the quarterback and a little bit of running. That's it. I mean, you can slide up, you can move up and down, try to dodge or whatever, but really you don't have any control over anything else. Once the receiver gets the ball, yeah, you have control on that, and you can kind of move him up and down. He doesn't do much. It's very small. No play, no back-end play management, no playbooks, no conditions. They never call timeout. The opponent never calls a timeout, though he is capable of scoring in like no time at all. Quarters are only 2 minutes long, and that's because if they were longer, the scores would be stupid. At its hardest, it's near impossible because the coverage will basically jump in front of every ball and intercept most of them at the best teams. There's always weaker teams, and you can beat them, whatever. But there's a big difference, the difference between a good team and a bad team. And as you get higher up in the difficulty, it actually gets to the point where even the bad teams are more challenging than they should be. So I'm just saying there's a wide gap there. It's got a little bit of management. You can have 10 guys on your team, which of course is not any football. Like it could be as many defense or as many offense, but it has to be 10. It's only 10. So you're mixing it up. You could have 5 and 5 or 6 and 4 or whatever. And you can buy guys. You can buy it up to 12, which big whoop. Basically, you can do one guy at every position. I think one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one offensive lineman, and one tight end. That's on offense. And you can have a defensive lineman, linebacker, defensive line, and cornerback and a kicker. So that's kind of your 10 guys, right? And if you don't have all those things, the lines are probably the most sacrificial. Okay, is this actually working? Because it's not showing me any progress. It just, is it doing anything? Is there any bar that says it's doing anything? Hello, do we have, it just says loading. Is it just like broken? All right, I'm gonna close this. I don't know. I mean, what kind of an update doesn't even tell you what's going on? Let's try this again. I mean, I know this computer ain't crazy fast, but come on. Anyway, so what are some other examples? Okay, then there's the games that try to add a little bit of visual, like NFL 2K Playmakers. Not good. Just don't bother. It's got a couple of features that are kind of slick. See, I click on this, but what am I updating? It just says loading. Yeah, there's something weird about this. Okay, as I'm programming my own game, there are things I don't like about this. That's all I'm saying. There's things I don't like. And then I'm just stuck in this loading screen again. It takes me back to here, and it just says loading. I mean, I know it said update, but how long does it take? Platform availability. Just says loading. Huh. Release date, April 2020. That's I thought it was like 6 years old. That's only like 4 years. Is that this game? It's been around since 2020? Huh. See, it's like it takes you to a web page. It takes you to another page, which takes you to the Google thing, which redirects you back to the page, which redirects you to the client. It just seems like a lot of rigmarole. There's got to be a way to cut some junk out. I don't know. I can't get around this. I don't know. Maybe I won't be playing Legends of Runeterra. I don't know what it's doing or why it's taking so long. Maybe this is like a 5-hour update. Who knows? That is one long, painful update. You know what I haven't tried to play? Let's go try, what is that game called? The Bazaar. It's a tempo game. The Bazaar. Download. Anyway, so then I took a look at some management games. Now there are some on the mobile, and there are a number of them on the web. There's a couple of free ones, Red Zone, and one I tried the other day, which is, what is this one called? That's Red Zone Action. And Gridiron is the other one. I played Red Zone. I haven't played Gridiron yet. But you can see this is kind of how they do their their simulation. So they give you a lot of interesting stats. They show you all the players, who the players are in each team, what's happening on the plays. Basic stuff you'd expect to see if you were watching, I don't know, ESPN's live updates or whatever. It's basically kind of what it is. Except with those, you get bars that go back and forth. And most games do like a single bar that's going back and forth, or it'll have multiple bars going back and forth. I don't know the level to which they're actually executing plays. Are players actually moving on the field and stuff is actually happening? I don't know. It could just be, I get the impression, I was reading the, let's see, do I still have this one open? Okay, so there's this one, all right? So this one is Red Zone, and it talks about what's happening with the plays. But remember, in this game, they don't have any real plays. They have formations and directions. So is it random? How does it define who's going to be over there, who's going to be near your players, right? So or near the play. How is things like speed and position of the players, how is that all happening? Because you don't get to see any of it. It's kind of like you take their word for it, right? And I feel disconnected from the work you're doing in the background when you select guys, and you don't get to see anything happen. So it's coming up with a game that's both visually appealing, visually Madden. Okay, I'm going to come back to Madden 25. When I watched it, it does a lot of the things I thought of because I've never played Madden 20. I haven't played Madden since I bought a version of it back in 2007, 2008. I don't know. It was one of the early ones. I don't even know if I still have it because I used to keep some of those old games. I put them in a bin. Did this download? Is it like, am I done? Maybe. I don't know if that Runeterra thing's ever going to update. Actually, I think it's stuck. It's just going. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if it busted or what. All right, let's go to the temple line. Wait, what was that? Some kind of a beep. But Madden does some cool things, which were all things that are kind of in my chart of what I'm planning to do in my game. And that's to provide player feedback during the game. So even if you're just watching it. I did learn quickly that Madden, along with, unless you're playing short quarters, players, it doesn't make sense. Player-controlled games players are just better than computers, at least at this point. They can't judge where you're going. Players, Madden on the mobile is even worse. I was watching a guy playing against Madden on the mobile, and they're literally playing like 2-minute quarters, and he like sacked the opponent like 5 straight times, and I don't even know how. He was like starting off a little slow. I think he was just going easy because he didn't want to blow out the computer, or the computer got weak, or maybe as the computer gets fatigued towards the end, they play the tired aspect, and then at the end the only one who's tired are the computer, and your guys are just and they're running over everything. That's what was happening. He ended up destroying this computer like 20 something to, I mean, in 2-minute quarters. He just reinforced to me why a player controlled football game doesn't make sense. And if you're playing against another player, they're doing the same thing, right? So it's just those two guys. You're trying to run away from that guy, and you're trying to throw to you're trying to run your play, and yeah, it's just it's a shootout, right? Who can control more and be more successful at it. And it's like, and then the player skill. What does the player skill matter? You just got to make sure you take control of a dude who's got speed, right? And then you're in control at that point. So his agility, maybe his tackling skill. Your guy might bounce off if he's not a very good tackler. But come on, I mean, you're setting up games that are supposed to be within fractions of each other, and if you're there, the odds are you're going to make the tackle. Because in general, I think tackling is a high percentage action. Because if you really think about how players are running down the field, they're tackled. I mean, they're almost always tackled. The frequency with which a player, oh man, I don't know if this one's going to be any faster. The frequency with which a player is not tackled versus when they are, like if two guys are going down the field, if a guy's on him, more often than not, the guy makes the tackle. Or he slows him down enough that someone makes the tackle. I mean, he doesn't get to the end zone. Because if they got to the end zone all the time, well, football would be boring. So, if you really look at it, guys get tackled more than they don't, at a point at which they can't progress. I mean, you're only going 10 yards. Have you ever been on a football field and checked what 10 yards is? It's literally like 4 big steps. You could cover 10 yards in like no time. It's a tiny distance in the grand scheme of things. And you're like, how come that's even hard? How come it's hard? It's like it's not very far to go. And the other guys on the field, there's only like a couple of them between you and that spot because the rest of them are spread out. Just got to go from 10 yards is like me going from that wall to that wall. I mean, literally, it's about what it is, about 10 yards. It's not far. All right, maybe it's a little further than that, but not much. It's a pretty tiny space. So you got to wonder how these guys can't cover that distance. It's because the other guys are fast and strong, and they will tackle you more often than not. That's why the NFL's never felt the urge to say, maybe we should make it 15 yards. They've never done that because it doesn't need to be. Teams are frequently stopped. And, scoring a bunch is possible. Some teams get going and things go their way, but it's not then. Even the bad teams can often get enough stops in there. So, football's a game where it's the little minutia that matters, right? So maybe people don't. I feel like if you had an attachment to the game, a vested interest in seeing something happen, right? Rather than just a vested interest in seeing an outcome, but you have a vested interest in your team. One of the things I've heard is a pretty common solution is to allow people to create a player or name their player and have a desire to see him or that specific player succeed. And I'm thinking I like that, and it works good because I do understand that connection or to a player. Like XCOM is one of the examples I've heard is that you get to name your guys, and once they've been successful a couple of times or done some pretty good things, you're like, ooh yeah, let's get this guy out there, and now you're trying to protect everybody. Come on guys, we got to keep everybody safe. We don't need anybody getting shot, because you're genuinely feeling like you want to protect. I mean, yeah, you don't want to lose, but you're also like, you don't want your guys getting killed. You've got a connection to them, and it's kind of a gut wrench when your guy goes down and gets killed in XCOM, and you're like, no. And it's a permaloss. I mean, guys don't come back from the dead, ever. You don't get to bring them back. They take a shot to the head and go down, it's over. You got to find new dudes. And that guy, like, who's with you for the last 30 missions is, like,